Have you been studying English for months or even years, yet still struggle to have a simple conversation? You're not alone. Millions of English learners around the world face the same frustrating problem. They memorize grammar rules, complete countless exercises, and study vocabulary lists. But when it's time to actually speak English, the words just won't come out. The truth is, traditional English learning methods are broken. They focus too much on grammar rules and not enough on real communication. They treat English like a subject to study rather than a skill to develop. But here's the good news. There's a better way. In this guide, I'm going to share with you a proven plan that will help you learn English faster than you ever thought possible. The biggest mistake English learners make. Before we dive into the solution, let's talk about the biggest mistake that's holding you back. Most English learners spend too much time studying about English instead of actually using English. They focus on perfection instead of progress. They're afraid to make mistakes, so they never practice speaking. Think about how children learn their first language. Do they study grammar rules? Do they memorize vocabulary lists? No, they listen, they mimic, they make mistakes, and they learn through constant exposure and practice. This is the exact approach we need to take with English learning. The key insight here is simple but powerful. You cannot study your way to fluency. You must practice your way to fluency. The science behind fast language learning. Research in language acquisition has shown us some fascinating truths about how our brains learn languages. Dr. Stephen Krashen, a renowned linguist, developed the input hypothesis, which states that we acquire language through comprehensible input, messages that we can understand even if they're slightly above our current level. This means you need to expose yourself to English that you can mostly understand, with just enough new material to challenge you. If the content is too easy, you won't learn anything new. If it's too difficult, you'll become frustrated and overwhelmed. The sweet spot is content that's about 95% comprehensible and 5% new. Another crucial finding from language research is the importance of emotional engagement. When you're emotionally connected to the material you're learning, whether through interest, excitement, or curiosity, your brain forms stronger neural connections. This is why watching a TV show you love in English is more effective than memorizing boring vocabulary lists. The 4 pillars of fast English learning. Now let's get into the practical system that will transform your English learning journey. This plan is built on 4 fundamental pillars that work together to accelerate your progress. Pillar 1, massive comprehensible input. The first pillar is all about flooding your brain with English that you can understand. This is the foundation of everything else. Your goal should be to expose yourself to English for at least 2 hours every single day. I know that sounds like a lot, but here's the secret. You don't need to sit at a desk studying for 2 hours. You can integrate English into activities you're already doing. Listen to English podcasts while commuting to work. Watch English YouTube videos while cooking dinner. Listen to English audiobooks while exercising. The key is to make English a constant presence in your life, not just something you do during study time. Start with content designed for learners. There are amazing resources like English podcasts for beginners that use simple vocabulary and speak slowly enough for you to understand. As you improve, gradually move to more challenging content like TV shows, movies, and podcasts for native speakers. Here's a powerful technique. Find content about topics you already know well in your native language. If you're a doctor, watch medical videos in English. If you love cooking, watch cooking shows in English. Your background knowledge will help you understand the English, making the learning process much faster. Pillar 2, active listening and shadowing. Passive listening is good, but active listening is transformative. Active listening means you're fully engaged with the material, paying attention to pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. You're not just hearing words, you're absorbing how English actually sounds. One of the most powerful active listening techniques is called shadowing. Here's how it works. You listen to a short piece of English audio, 30 seconds to a minute, and immediately try to repeat what you heard, mimicking the speaker's pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation as closely as possible. Don't worry about understanding every word at first. Focus on copying the sounds. Shadowing helps you in multiple ways. First, it trains your mouth muscles to produce English sounds correctly. Second, it improves your listening comprehension because you're actively processing what you hear. Third, it helps you internalize the natural rhythm and flow of English, which is crucial for sounding fluent. Practice shadowing for just 15 to 20 minutes per day, and you'll see dramatic improvements in your speaking within weeks. Choose material that's slightly below your current level so you can focus on pronunciation rather than struggling to understand. Pillar 3, strategic speaking practice. Many learners wait until they feel ready to start speaking. This is a huge mistake. You need to start speaking from day one, even if you only know 10 words. The goal isn't to speak perfectly, it's to build the neural pathways that make speaking automatic. However, not all speaking practice is created equal. Random conversation practice where you struggle and make countless mistakes can actually reinforce bad habits. Instead, you need strategic speaking practice that builds confidence and competence simultaneously. Start with imitation exercises. Choose a short dialogue from a beginner podcast or video. Listen to it multiple times until you understand it completely. Then practice saying those exact lines over and over until they flow naturally. This builds your sentence bank, ready-made phrases that you can use in real conversations. Next, move to substitution drills. Take a sentence pattern like, I usually verb in the morning, and practice substituting different verbs. I usually exercise in the morning. I usually read in the morning. I usually meditate in the morning. This helps you internalize sentence structures so you can create new sentences spontaneously. When you're ready for real conversations, use language exchange apps to find conversation partners. But here's the key. Prepare for these conversations. Don't just jump in randomly. Choose a specific topic, prepare some key phrases, and practice those phrases before the conversation. This structured approach builds confidence and ensures you're actually learning, not just struggling. Pillar 4, smart vocabulary building. Traditional vocabulary learning involves memorizing long lists of random words. This is inefficient and boring. Instead, focus on high-frequency vocabulary, the words you'll actually use in everyday conversation. Research shows that just 1,000 word families, a root word plus its variations, cover about 80% of everyday English conversation. If you learn these 1,000 words really well, you'll be able to understand and participate in most basic conversations. This is much more effective than knowing 5,000 words superficially. Learn vocabulary in context, not in isolation. Instead of memorizing that exhausted means very tired, encounter it in a sentence. After running a marathon, I was completely exhausted. Better yet, encounter it in multiple contexts through your listening and reading practice. Use the spaced repetition technique to remember vocabulary efficiently. Apps like Anki can help you review words just before you're about to forget them, which is the optimal time for reinforcing memory. Spend just 10 to 15 minutes per day on spaced repetition, and you'll retain vocabulary much more effectively than through cramming. Create personal connections to new words. When you learn a new word, immediately think of how it relates to your life. If you learn the word anxious, think about a time when you felt anxious. This emotional connection makes the word much more memorable. The daily action plan. Now, let's put this all together into a practical daily routine. This plan is designed for someone who can dedicate about 90 minutes to 2 hours per day to English learning. But remember, much of this can be integrated into activities you're already doing. Morning routine, 20 minutes. 10 minutes, listen to an English podcast for beginners while having breakfast or getting ready. 10 minutes, shadowing practice with yesterday's podcast content. Throughout the day, 60 minutes. 30 minutes, passive listening during commute, exercise, or household chores, English podcasts, audiobooks, or music. 30 minutes. Watch an English YouTube video or TV show about a topic you enjoy. Evening routine, 30 minutes. 10 minutes, vocabulary review using spaced repetition app. 20 minutes, speaking practice, either conversation exchange, recording yourself, or practicing dialogues. Weekly activities, 2 to 3 times per week, 30-minute conversation exchange with a language partner. Once per week, write a short journal entry in English about your week. Once per week, review your progress and adjust your plan. The key to this plan is consistency. Doing a little bit every single day is infinitely more effective than studying for 5 hours once a week. Make English a non-negotiable part of your daily routine, just like brushing your teeth. Overcoming common obstacles. As you implement this plan, you'll encounter obstacles. Let's address the most common ones and how to overcome them. I don't have time to study English every day. Remember, you don't need to sit at a desk studying. Replace your native language entertainment with English entertainment. Listen to English instead of music in your language. Watch English videos instead of videos in your language. You're not adding new activities, you're transforming existing activities into learning opportunities. I'm afraid to make mistakes when speaking. This fear is natural but counterproductive. Every mistake is a learning opportunity. Native speakers make mistakes all the time, and people are generally very patient with language learners. Reframe mistakes as evidence that you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, which is where all growth happens. I feel overwhelmed by how much I need to learn. Focus on progress, not perfection. You don't need to know every word in the English dictionary. You don't need perfect grammar. You need functional communication skills. Celebrate small wins, understanding a new phrase, successfully ordering food in English, or having your first full conversation. I keep forgetting words I've learned. This is normal. Forgetting is actually part of the learning process. The key is consistent review through spaced repetition. Also, make sure you're encountering words in multiple contexts, not just memorizing definitions. The more ways you encounter a word, the deeper it lodges in your memory. I understand English when I read or listen, but I can't speak. This is the classic input-output gap. You need more speaking practice, but you need the right kind. Start with imitation and substitution drills to build confidence. Then gradually move to more spontaneous speaking. Record yourself speaking and listen back. This helps you identify areas for improvement. Tracking your progress. One of the most motivating aspects of learning is seeing your progress. Here are some ways to track your improvement. Record yourself speaking once a month on the same topic. When you listen back to earlier recordings, you'll be amazed at how much you've improved. Keep a learning journal where you note new words, phrases, and concepts you've learned each week. Take periodic comprehension tests by watching videos designed for different proficiency levels. As you advance, you'll be able to understand more advanced content. Set specific, measurable goals like have a 5-minute conversation entirely in English, or watch a 20-minute YouTube video without subtitles and understand the main points. Celebrate your milestones. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Acknowledge your progress along the way to maintain motivation.
Advanced tips for accelerated learning. Once you've built a solid foundation with the core plan, here are some advanced strategies to accelerate your learning even further. Immersion weekends. Dedicate 1 weekend per month to total English immersion. Watch only English content, listen only to English, think in English, and speak only English, even to yourself. This intensive practice can create breakthrough moments. Language islands. Designate certain activities as English-only zones. For example, all your cooking time is in English. You follow English recipes, watch English cooking videos, and narrate what you're doing in English. This creates strong associations that make recall easier. Teaching technique. Explain English grammar concepts or vocabulary to an imaginary student or a real one. Teaching forces you to understand concepts at a deeper level and improves your ability to articulate in English. Mirror practice. Stand in front of a mirror and practice speaking English for 5 minutes every day. This might feel awkward at first, but it helps you become comfortable expressing yourself and allows you to observe your facial expressions and mouth movements. Think in English. Start transitioning your internal dialogue to English. When you're planning your day, making a shopping list, or reflecting on your experiences, try to think in English rather than translating from your native language. The mindset that makes all the difference. Finally, let's talk about the most important factor in your English learning success: your mindset. Your beliefs about your ability to learn English will significantly impact your results. Adopt a growth mindset. Believe that your English ability is not fixed, but can improve through effort and practice. When you encounter difficulties, don't think, "I'm bad at English." Instead, think, "I haven't mastered this yet, but I will with practice." Be patient with yourself. Language learning is not linear. You'll have days when everything clicks, and days when you feel like you've forgotten everything. This is completely normal. Keep showing up and trust the process. Make mistakes enthusiastically. The learners who improve fastest are the ones who speak even when they're not sure if they're right. They're willing to sound foolish temporarily in exchange for long-term fluency. Find your why. Why do you want to learn English? Is it for career opportunities, to connect with people from different cultures, to access information and entertainment, to travel? Keep your reason front and center, especially on days when motivation is low. Conclusion. Your journey starts now. Learning English doesn't have to be a slow, frustrating process that takes decades. With the right approach, massive comprehensible input, active listening and shadowing, strategic speaking practice, and smart vocabulary building, you can make rapid progress. The plan I've outlined in this guide works. It's based on science, proven by research, and tested by thousands of successful language learners. But here's the thing. It only works if you actually do it. Knowledge without action is useless. Start today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Choose one podcast episode for beginners and listen to it. Practice shadowing for just 5 minutes. Find one language exchange partner and schedule your first conversation. Take the first small step and then take another one tomorrow and another one the day after that. 6 months from now, you can be having real conversations in English. 1 year from now, you can be watching movies without subtitles. 2 years from now, you can be using English confidently in your career. Or you can be in the same place you are now, still wishing you could speak English better. The choice is yours. Your English learning journey starts now. Let's make it amazing.